Pauline Elizabeth Hopkins, 1859 to 1930, was a trailblazing figure in African American literature and a powerful advocate for racial and gender equality. Known as the Dean of African American Women's Writers, Hopkins' works continue to resonate in discussions about social justice, racial identity, and the representation of African Americans in literature. Her influence extended beyond her novels, as she was also an essayist, playwright, journalist, and editor. This video explores her life legacy and the enduring relevance of her work, blending insights that highlight her contributions to literature, history, and social activism. Pauline Elizabeth Hopkins, pioneering African American literary voice and advocate for social change. The early life of Pauline Elizabeth Hopkins. Born in Portland, Maine on August 13, 1859, Pauline Elizabeth Hopkins was the daughter of free African Americans. Her family later moved to Boston, Massachusetts, where she grew up in a community rich in culture and intellectual change. Boston's thriving Black community and its history of abolitionism deeply influenced Hopkins and shaped her future endeavors. Hopkins exhibited a talent for writing and performing early in life. At 20, she won a writing competition sponsored by the African American newspaper, The Congregationalist, for her essay, Evils of Intemperance and Their Remedy. This win marked the beginning of a career dedicated to exploring the intersections of race, gender, and social justice. Pauline Hopkins as a playwright. Before gaining fame as a novelist, Pauline Hopkins wrote plays that examined racial and social issues. Her play, Slaves' Escape, or The Underground Railroad, 1880, also known as Peculiar Sam, was one of the first dramas to depict the heroism of enslaved people seeking freedom through the Underground Railroad. The play gained acclaim for its bold portrayal of Black characters as courageous and resourceful, challenging the prevailing stereotypes of the time. Hopkins's theatrical work laid the foundation for her literary career, showcasing her commitment to celebrating African American resilience and resistance. Pauline Hopkins and the era of the Harlem Renaissance. Although Hopkins's literary output predated the Harlem Renaissance by a few decades, she is often regarded as a precursor to the movement. Her writings laid the groundwork for many of the themes that would define the Renaissance, including the celebration of Black identity, critiques of systemic racism, and the exploration of African American folklore and history. Hopkins's work aligns with the goals of Harlem Renaissance leaders like Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston, and W.E.B. Du Bois, making her an essential figure in the broader canon of African American literature. Novels that define Pauline Hopkins's legacy. Pauline Hopkins wrote four influential novels between 1900 and 1903, each serialized in the magazine The Colored American. These works examined complex themes of race, gender, and social injustice while celebrating African American heritage. Number 1, Contending Forces, a romance illustrative of Negro life, North and South. Published in 1900, Contending Forces is Hopkins's most celebrated novel. The book explores themes of systemic racism, interracial relationships, and the social struggles of an African American post-slavery. The novel's protagonist, Charles Montfort, and his family endured unspeakable tragedies as they navigate the world rife with racial discrimination. By blending romance, social commentary, and historical narrative, Hopkins crafted a story that was both accessible and profound. Her commitment to educating readers about the complexities of Black life in America made Contending Forces a pioneering work in African American literature. Number 2, Hager's Daughter, a story of Southern caste prejudice. Serialized 1901 to 1902, Hager's Daughter is a thrilling tale of love, betrayal, and racial prejudice. The novel centers on Hager, a biracial woman, and explores how racial identity shapes personal relationships and societal perceptions. Hopkins used suspense and drama to captivate her audiences while addressing systemic injustices, demonstrating her ability to weave entertainment with advocacy. Number 3, Winona, a tale of Negro life in the South and Southwest. Published in 1902, Winona is a historical novel set during the Reconstruction era. The story highlights the resilience of African Americans as they strive for freedom and equality in a hostile environment. Hopkins incorporated elements of African American folklore and spirituality into the narrative, enriching the cultural depth of the novel. Number 4, Of One Blood, or The Hidden Self. Of One Blood, 1902 to 1903, is a groundbreaking work that combines science fiction, fantasy, and African history. The novel follows Real Briggs, a Black medical student who discovers an ancient African civilization with advanced knowledge and technology. By portraying Africa as a source of wisdom and innovation, Hopkins challenged the Eurocentric narratives that dominated her era. Of One Blood remains a testament to her visionary storytelling and her desire to reframe African history positively. Journalism and editing at The Colored America. In addition to her novels, Pauline Hopkins played a significant role as a journalist and editor. From 1900 to 1904, she worked for The Colored American, a Boston-based literary magazine aimed at uplifting African Americans. As editor of the women's department, Hopkins wrote essays and editorials advocating for racial and gender equality. She used her platform to address pressing issues, including lynching, segregation, and the lack of educational opportunities for African Americans. Her work at the Colored American made her one of the most influential African American female journalists of her time. Hopkins leveraged her position to empower others and champion civil rights, leaving a lasting impact on African American media. Hopkins's advocacy for women's rights. Pauline Hopkins was a staunch advocate for women's rights, emphasizing the importance of education, economic independence, and political engagement for African American women. Through her writings, she sought to dismantle stereotypes and create spaces where Black women could thrive as leaders and innovators. Her essays often highlighted the dual oppression faced by African American women due to their race and gender, urging society to recognize their contributions and potential. Hopkins's work inspired generations of women writers and activists, cementing her legacy as a feminist pioneer. Legacy and influence. Pauline Hopkins's literary and journalistic achievements solidified her place as one of the foremost voices in African American literature. Her commitment to social justice, innovative storytelling, and celebration of African American culture has left an indelible mark on history. Pauline Hopkins's impact on African American literature. Hopkins's works have inspired countless writers and scholars, from her contemporaries to modern-day authors. Her exploration of race identity, and history paved the way for future generations to tell stories that challenge societal norms and highlight African American experiences. Recognition and revival of Hopkins's work. Despite her significant contributions, Hopkins's work were largely forgotten after her death in 1930. However, the civil rights movement and the rise of Black literary criticism in the 1960s and 1970s reignited interest in her writings. Today, Paula Hopkins is celebrated as a literary pioneer whose works are studied in classrooms and praised for their insights and relevance. Her novels, essays, and plays serve as a testament to the power of literature and inspire change and foster understanding. In conclusion, Paula Elizabeth Hopkins was more than just a writer. She was a visionary whose work continues to influence literature, culture, and social justice movements. Her ability to weave compelling narratives with powerful messages about race, gender, and identity set her apart as a trailblazer in African American literature. As we celebrate her legacy, it is essential to remember the barriers she overcame and the path she paved for future generations. Pauline Hopkins's voice remains a beacon of hope and a call to action, reminding us of the enduring power of storytelling in the fight for equality and justice. By recognizing her contributions, we honor her place in history and ensure that her message continues to inspire change for years and years and years to come. I have just covered for you Pauline Elizabeth Hopkins, pioneering African American literary voice and advocate for social change. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Just as I was sliding by, I decided I'd slide on in and produce another video for you. I am now about to slide on out and continue about. Thanks for watching and enjoy.